I'm doing a prediction for the UFC China card that is tomorrow, technically speak, or it's 1 a.m. for me, so it's basically tomorrow. It's basically Friday. I will be streaming it. I will start streaming around 11 p.m. It's my first ever stream, but I said if I hit 10 subscribers, I would end up streaming it. So if you want to tune into that, the fight card starts at 1 a.m. PST for me, but I'm gonna be live 2 hours before, just fucking around, honestly. But let's just get these predictions out the way so there's no confusion on what I am when I stream. And you'll see that I avoided a lot of fights that I just could not pronounce the name of because I would be on it for hours trying to pronounce the name. Even some of the stupid ones are just trying to get me, like Moshe or Mashad. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Mashad. I don't fucking know. Versus Nicholas Mota. In all honesty, I was gonna go Nicholas Mota just based off experience. I'm like, okay, I like Nicholas Mota's experience. He's someone who's cemented himself a little bit, but I don't like his wins that much. And there's another thing about him. Mashad has TKOs. Majority of his wins do come from TKOs. And Mota's majorities of his losses, right? If it was a guy who was like, my 5 losses, I have 4 decisions, 1 TKO, I'd be like, okay, that's okay. That's completely fine. Losing decisions isn't really bad ever. When you have 5 losses and 4 of them are TKOs and you have 1 decision, it's not great. I don't like it. Also, Mashad has a really big height advantage. I know it doesn't mean much to most people, especially when the reach is the same. You know, Mashad has just a little, he has literally 1 inch reach over Mata, but it's like, height does matter. Watch Paul Craig versus Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel involved his striking game a decent amount since last time we've seen him. However, look how easily Paul Craig was able to just move out the way of head punches. It's a whole different advantage when you can just lean back and the guy kind of can't hit you. And usually you see that with these 3 to 4 inches like height advantage. Mashad has a 3 inch height advantage. Also, one thing is, Mashad's only 24, right? And usually I'm like, okay, when I see a 24-year-old, you don't have much experience. Mashad has a lot of fights for being 24, pro fights. And around China or just that area in general, they seem to have a lot of amateur fights and they hard spar a lot. So I'm willing to trust this guy. He's 24. He already has 13 fights. He's probably been fighting a lot in amateurs. And mostly been hard sparring at a gym. I don't know if he trains in China, but I'm just assuming he trained around there. But when I think about it, I'm like, okay, a lot of these guys, a lot of the good guys from this region, they usually have a long, extensive amateur career. I don't know what Mashad's is, but I'm willing to bet he does, and I'm willing to bet he's faced some decent people in that amateur career that just adds up in experience. You'll see it a lot with Russians too. Russians have a lot of amateur fights, have a lot of experience built up from there. And like I said, it's a problem for me when you're fighting a guy who gets a lot of finishes and your 5 losses are TKOs. And the guy has a height advantage over you. And it's not like, oh, he has like an inch height advantage. It's 3 inches. Might not sound like much. It is. You know, for the tiny meat gang, it really is. It's like, I want to take Mata based off experience because one of my number one things in fights is, oh, does this guy have the experience advantage? Who has he fought? He doesn't have good wins. In my opinion, he just doesn't have good wins. It's like, he has some decent ones, but nothing crazy where you can be like, okay, you know, he's won this. He can flip the tide completely on this other fighter. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. Someone texted me. But he doesn't have impressive wins to the point where I can flip the whole fight just based off that. So I want to go Mashad, TKO. Give me third round TKO, Mashad. Maybe decision. Because I don't think Mata's that tough. I think Mata... I don't want to ever say a fighter's a quitter. Because you're in there... You're not quitting, obviously, but it's like 4 out of your 5 losses are TKOs, man. It's like, really? I don't trust that. Now, when I looked at this fight, I was a little confused because I was like, who is this 0-1 guy? I don't know if you can see the record, but it literally says 0-1 on the official UFC website. And I'm like, who the fuck is this 0-1 guy? Like, they're just letting anybody. They've got the homeless man in L.A. on the fucking street. I was like, what is this? Like, let me in the UFC if they're doing this. And then I was like, hold up, Ozzy Diaz. I remember this name. I don't know where I remembered it. I was like, I remember this name. And the reason I remember it is because he got knocked out by Joe Pyfer. He got knocked out by Joe Pyfer. And I had to look him up on, like, Tapology, obviously, because UFC didn't offer shit to me. So I looked him up on Tapology, and I was like, hold up, let me take a look at this guy. He's 9-2. He's actually 9-2. Bro, I need this dude to stop calling me, bro. He's 9-2. He has decent experience in Bellator. He has decent experience in LFA. LFA's not bad. Bellator in your early career is alright, because I've been to a Bellator event. I went to Bellator 300, and they got some motherfuckers no one's ever heard of on there. Like, especially in the heavier weight classes. Bro, you'll find a guy like 0-3 on there. So Bellator isn't bad for experience early. It's a big name. But trust me, I've seen the lowest of the low on Bellator prelims. It's not good. It's not fucking good at all. But, like, if you just look to his record, like I'm doing that now, he just doesn't have wins that are impressive. Joe Pyfer's not a bad loss, right? We all know that. Joe Pyfer, he's kind of made something of himself in the UFC, mostly based off his story that I don't give a shit about. But still. And Zhang Miang, I mean, he has one good win over Brenton Ribeiro. And in my opinion, yeah, Brenton Ribeiro. And he's one of the road to UFC fighters, by the way. If you couldn't tell by him being Chinese and on this card. It's like, while I don't rate Brenton Ribeiro at all, I think he just robbed whoever the fuck... I don't remember who he fought. Chao Machado? Like, I don't remember who Brenton Ribeiro fought. But to finish him in the first round isn't bad at all. Brenton Ribeiro's not great, but he's not bad. Like, he's a guy who fights with a lot of power, light heavyweight. He doesn't throw much. But it's a name that I can recognize and be like, okay, I don't think that guy's bad at all. Ozzy Diaz doesn't have that name where I'm like, okay, I know exactly who this is. When I see Ozzy Diaz, I'm like, this is the guy that got knocked out by Joe Pyfer. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he just doesn't have that thing to his record where I can be like, okay, he beat Zhang. Zhang is also a good finisher. He's a good, well-rounded fighter. This motherfucker keeps calling me over and over again. He's a good, well-rounded fighter. And Ozzy just doesn't have that elite win. Neither does Zhang, really, but Zhang... I mean, Brenton Ribeiro is better than everyone Ozzy's fought. Like, Ozzy lost to Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer's a middleweight. So I don't trust it. By the way, this is his UFC debut. The only thing Ozzy has, in my opinion, not even my opinion, this is just factual, the only thing he has over Zhang is physique-wise, at least height and weight. But he's not even in shape, really. He doesn't show up. He's one of those guys who are kind of flabby. I'm going Zhang first round TKO, in all honesty. I don't like Ozzy Diaz at all. If I look at you and I think, okay, I know you. You're the guy who lost to Joe Pyfer. I don't trust that. I don't think that's a great loss. Or it is a great loss in hindsight. But it's like, that's not a good thing when I think of, oh, you're the guy that lost to this guy and brought him to the UFC. So it doesn't look great. Volkan Oezdemir versus Carlos Oberg. I was going to say, right? And I don't know if anyone else feels this way. When I was looking at this fight, I was like, okay. Volkan Oezdemir, he's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure he's had fights with DC. He just knocked out Johnny Walker dominantly. He's had fights with really good people. And I'm like, okay, Carlos Oberg. He just knocked out Alonzo Menifield. Like, that's cool. And I was like, but this guy's a young up-and-comer. Carlos Oberg. For some reason, Carlos Oberg, in my mind, is like 25. He's the future light heavyweight. This motherfucker is 34. I'm all for, oh, if you're good, you're getting good wins, you're a prospect, right? He's 34. And he's only 1 year younger than Volkan Oezdemir. And I'm like, okay, where have you been? Like, with all due respect, where have you been? I don't know if anyone else has felt that way about Carlos Ulberg, where he feels like he's 24, he feels like he's 25. New upcoming prospect of the future of the division. This motherfucker's old. He's a lot older than I thought he was. But when Volkan Oezdemir, I just don't think Carlos Ulberg has showed great technique. Like I said, his best win was I was gonna say his best win was Carlos Ulberg. His best win was Alonzo Menifield. He's 11-1. The guy he lost to was Kennedy Nezuchukwu, and I think that was to a TKO, which is never great. Keep in mind, never great to lose TKO to Kennedy Nezuchukwu, unless you're Chris Barnett, and you blow your knee out before the fight even starts. I never rated Carlos Ulberg that high. I always thought he was good. I always thought he was really dangerous. But his best win, like I said, it's Alonzo Menifield, who I like as a fighter. Alonzo Menifield's a big dumb retard that just does whatever he wants because he's physically gifted, right? I mean, he kind of just does whatever. He's a retard. Like, it is what it is. It's not a great win, in my opinion, unless you put on an amazing performance. Which, first round knockout, don't get me wrong, amazing performance. I don't like knockouts that happen in like 13, 14 seconds because I'm like, okay, that's cool and all. Sometimes you just land a perfect shot, though. It doesn't mean you're better than the guy. Sometimes you just land that perfect shot that just puts him out because he does one mistake. It's right. That's all it takes. The most beautiful thing, and the thing that I love about MMA, is it only takes one shot. Everything can change after one shot. You can be dominating a guy, he lands a head kick out of nowhere. Leon Edwards. It's like, there's two sides to that coin, though. It's like, you get a knockout, like Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo, and you're like, okay, give Jose Aldo the rematch. That was a fluke. We don't know who's actually better. That could have been Aldo, just one mistake. It's a fluke, right? A lot of people were saying that. However, it's also, you love to see it. You love to see the 14-second knockout. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't know if you're really better than him. Which I'm not doubting Carlos Ulberg's better than Alonzo Menifield. I'm going to say this over and over again. Menifield, I love you as a fighter. You're not one of my favorites, but I do like you as a fighter. You're kind of a retard, man. Like, you're not going to be top 10 level. You're a retard, but I still like you fighting. I don't doubt that Carlos Ulberg's a lot better than Alonzo Menifield. You know what I'm saying? But I like Volkan Oezdemir's experience. You know, these guys are the same age. But I've just seen so much more from Volkan Oezdemir. I've seen just tons more. He's been in title fights. He was a hot prospect, knocking people out left and right. He just knocked out Johnny Walker. This is a guy that's proven himself, in my opinion. And I think in a lot of people's opinion, he's proven himself that he can hang with these guys consistently. Ulberg, he doesn't do that. So I'm going to go Volkan Oezdemir. I think his technique is better. I think he has more strength. And I just think experience will get him through this. They're the same fucking age. And Oezdemir has more than double his fights. It's like, well, I don't understand. Maybe Ulberg had an amazing amateur career. Or maybe he did something outside the UFC that I'm just completely blanking on some reason. I like experience a lot. And usually when I see experience, I'm like, okay, what have their losses been? What have their bad fights been? Oezdemir is kind of the guy he's kind of always been in a fight, besides maybe the DC fight. He's always been in a fight. Look, do you know how much aura you lose when you lose to Kennedy Nezuchukwu as a TKO? He couldn't TKO Ovens. He lost to Oven St. Preux. You know that, right? It's like, I know it's a long time ago. I know it doesn't mean shit. Ulberg has transformed to a better fighter, obviously. I still like Volkan's chances here. He looked great against Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker has no chin at all, but he looked great against him. So while he might not be faster than Carlos Ulberg, I think he'll do more damaging shots. And I think this guy's conditioned enough to have the cardio to outlast Ulberg, put the pressure on him. When Ulberg has never fought in a spot like this, where he's never had this big fight before. I mean, like I said, you gotta beat Manyfield if you want to be anything, you know? You gotta beat him. You gotta have a decent performance. And Manyfield's one of those guys where it's like, he either wins by a close decision, just hugging you the whole time, or you just dominate him. You know what I'm saying? I like Uzumir a lot, and I like his chances here. You can say it's biased. It 100% is. All these picks are completely biased. I love experience. I love experience. Moving on to Uzumir decision, by the way. I don't know if I ever said that. I was just kind of yapping. Wayne Kong versus Gabriela Fernandez. I'm going Wayne Kong. And usually I'm kind of weird about picking former kickboxers, like especially at women's, because a lot of women's are not really great strikers. They're kind of wrestlers and like jiu-jitsu people. Wayne Kong she has one of those careers. She's 6-0 in UFC, or not in UFC. She's 6-0 in MMA. And you're like, okay, a kickboxer is 6-0 in MMA. They probably got 6 knockouts, right? She's 2-2-2. So she can go to distance, she can knock people out, and she can submit people. It's like, I like this in a prospect where you show that you can do everything. You can show I don't have a clear weakness that you're going to expose. I don't think Gabriela Fernandez has a clear weakness. Her striking's not great. Wayne Kong just has more power than these people. It's kind of obvious. I don't think Gabriela Fernandez, if she does take her down, right? Let's say on the off chance she takes Wayne Kong down, I don't think she'll be able to establish enough control or be able to do that for 3 rounds straight. I like Wayne Kong's chances here as a knockout. I think in the first round, she'll get taken down, maybe controlled a little bit, but she'll find her timing. A really good, a kickboxing background is great because you find your timing a lot faster, you find your range a lot faster, and you see things that people don't. You see habits that a lot of people don't even think about. You see, Alex Pereira did it to like Sean Strickland. He did these things where it's like, okay, I see these habits more because I pay attention to these habits more. I know what habits to look out for. I think Wayne Kong will just recognize her game in the second round and get a really good TKO. And the hype train continues. I want to see her. I really want to see her be champion because she's fun. That's all. I'm going to say this straight up. Just straight up, no sugarcoating. Women's MMA, boring as fuck. Majority of the time, right? Boring as fuck. Kills the momentum. I just watched Karine Silva versus Viviane Araujo. While people say it's a good fight, third round was absolutely horrible. A decent amount of it was Karine Silva going for some random ass takedown and then pulling guards for some reason, because that's a jiu-jitsu thing that never works really. I want to see fun fights. And I'm biased as fuck. I already said that. I want Wayne Kong to win this, and I think she will. I just think she has a bigger base when it comes to kickboxing. She's already shown that she can stay on the ground with people. She has decent takedown defense. And it's women's MMA, let's be honest, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. When you have the power to TKO someone and the skill to TKO someone, it makes women's MMA so much easier. Or if you have, I guess, not really dominant male like features, if you have if you're built like a male, if you train with men, you will be a better women's MMA fighter. That's just factual. It really is just factual. That's how Shevchenko kind of got her start. She trained like the men. She trained with the men. Even though she's boring as fuck, she's very skillful and well-rounded. So it's like, there's a clear advantage to that, in my opinion. Plus, Wayne Kong, like I said, she's just very, for a person who's very kickboxing heavy, she has the base for wrestling and jiu-jitsu also. And that's a great sign for a prospect. There's no clear weakness. Now, Song Kanan versus Muslim Salikov. I like Song Kanan striking. He does have power. Everybody really remembers him for his Ian Gary knockdown, which I'm guilty of. I think that's probably the main moment I remember or think of when I remember Song Kanan exist. And Muslim Salikov kind of robbed Ponzinibbio in his last fight. I think that was on the Tracy Cortez card. I think that was Rose versus Tracy Cortez, that last fight. Kind of robbed Ponzinibbio. I don't think he did. I think Salikov won, at least if I remember correctly from watching it. I thought he won. Ponzinibbio's old, man. Like, he's still going. He's still a good fighter. But age does something to you. I know Salikov's older, probably. I think Salikov's like 37. Fucking hell, man. And while he is a tricky opponent, right? He's a very tricky opponent. His last fight was Ponzinibbio. People thought it was a robbery. It arguably could have been. And I think before that, he got knocked out by Randy Brown. He's slow. He doesn't have great power. He's tricky. Bro, how do I explain this? Bro, okay, I'm gonna make some stupid Dragon Ball reference. He's like Master Roshi in a tournament power. Like, yeah, he can't really keep up with these big guys, but I mean, he's tricky. He's got some random shit he'll do, and sometimes it just works. Song Kanan, he's fought good people. He has more fights than Muslim Salikov, which is great to see as someone who's younger. He's not coming off a horrible robbery win. And I think if Salikov tries striking with Kanan, which I think he will, I honestly think he'll try striking with Kanan. I just don't think that's a great idea, especially when you're not fast, you don't have much power, your technique's good, but you don't have the power to capitalize on something you did right, I guess. You don't have the speed or power to capitalize on the good things, and I think that's going to be the weakness of Salikov. That's something Song Kanan has. He has the power and he has the speed. And he's bigger, not by much, but he is bigger. I don't like age. I love experience. I don't like age. I don't like when people are already slowing down. Salikov's already slowing down. Kanan, like I said, he has the advantage. I'm going to go... Salikov's tough, though. That's the thing. He is tough. But Randy Brown did knock him out. I'm going to go second round TKO Song Kanan. I don't think it'll be a flatline or anything, like any stupid shit like that. But I think he will land with a good uppercut, a good overhand. It's going to drop Salikov, and he's going to TKO him in the second round. I trust Song Kanan here. I really do. Salikov, he's already slowing down. I say already as if he's not like 35 plus, but still. He's just slowing down. He's never really top level, but he is tricky. So it is a tricky matchup. Salikov is one of those guys, if you want to be good, you got to beat Muslim Salikov. You know what I'm saying? Besides him being tricky, he doesn't really offer any other weapons, in my opinion. Co-main event, Yan Xiaonan versus Tabitha Ricci. I don't know what to do here, man. I'm gonna go Yan Xiaonan. It's always been pretty clear to me that I think she'd win, but she does have a wrestling gap. She had her wrestling exposed against Carla Esparza, actually, but that was a long time ago. Andrade got outstruck by her. Yan Xiaonan, she's actually just good. She is actually just good, but she got embarrassed. UFC 300, we all saw that. She got completely embarrassed by Wei Li, and we didn't think Wei Li even looked as good or as in shape as she usually does. Yan Xiaonan got choked out after the first round. The fight, she was out. Like, she was literally out, and she just got up and still fought. I don't know how she did. She's tough as fuck. But it's like, I just want to look up Tabitha Ricci, because Tabitha Ricci has some questionable shit. Yeah, some questionable shit. Oh my god. That's not great. It's just Yan Xiaonan, she's been proven. She's muscular. She kind of reminds me of a Zhang Wei Li. Obviously not skill wise, but physique wise, kind of. She's built like a man. How do I sugarcoat it? She's built like a man. Tabitha Ritchie, while she is in really good shape, while she does have a fat ass, while it's a pleasure to look at her, she's not a man. She's not a man in disguise, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe she is. Maybe she is. But she's not a man. She's not built like a man. Despite what you may say, that's huge in MMA. Women's MMA. You've seen it. Trust me, you fucking seen it. Don't lie to me saying, oh, the more lesbian, male-dominant fighters aren't at the top of the division. Yeah. Yeah, okay, man. If you want to tell me that, go ahead, but you'll be wrong. And moving on to Tabitha Ritchie, her last two opponents were, I got it right here, Angela Hill. Very close fight. Very fucking close fight. Angela Hill did outstrike her, but very minuscule. And Tabitha Ritchie had a lot of control time. Or she didn't have a lot of control time, but she had a lot of takedowns. But I can be like, okay, Angela Hill, I've met her. She's a nice person. But we've seen her give tough competition. We've seen her give tough fights to a lot of these top-ranked people. She is a good fighter, and she always keeps it tough. Her record just doesn't give her justice. And then we go to Tisha Pennington. I understand, I guess. Tough decision, right? Arguably could have lost. Yeah, actually, looking at this, arguably could have lost. But she won. Lupi Godinez, I know some people thought it was a robbery. I thought Lupi clearly won that. Tabitha Ritchie has a striking hole. You see what I'm getting at here? She has a striking hole, a striking disadvantage against someone like Yan Jinan, or just someone who's like a peer striker, like Yan Jinan. It's like, her wrestling is good, right? But Yan Jinan, ever since she got that hole discovered by Carla Esparza, she's worked on that very well. I'm pretty sure she's a top team. What is she? Oh, why am I blanking on the name? She trains at Uriah Faber's gym. She's one of Uriah Faber's like favorite fighters. Trains at his gym. They work on wrestling a lot. She's had that hole exposed. Tabitha Ritchie, I mean, the only way she's had that hole exposed, not like that, unless she starts at OnlyFans, I'm all down with that. She can expose that hole all she wants, in my opinion. Her striking hole is not great. You know what I'm saying? Tisha Pennington's outstriking you. That's not good. That's not fucking good, in my opinion. I know Tisha Pennington's not bad at all, but that's not fucking good, right? Let's see. I mean, Jillian Robertson, she beat her. That's not a bad win at all, actually. Lupi Godinez, very striking. She went 0-6 on takedowns on Lupi Godinez, which isn't bad. Oh no, that's fucking horrible. Lupi Godinez doesn't have the best wrestling at all. Going 0-6 on her is kind of crazy. So what is Tabitha Ritchie just mid? Like, I was just looking to her record. I think I did my research before. She doesn't have a strong base in anything. Her striking's not strong based. Her wrestling's alright. Her jiu-jitsu is good, but it's more of a controlling jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm just going to control you, and I'll strike you on the ground. You can't do that against Yan Jinan, unless you're Zhang Wei Li, who's just a man. I like Zhang Wei Li. I think Zhang Wei Li's really fun to watch. However, she barely fights. But she's built like a man. There's a real advantage to this. Tabitha Ritchie's not built like a man. She loses the fight. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just more, Yan Janan's stronger in my opinion. Like I said, she's trained for wrestling. Uriah Faber, he's a good coach. He trains for wrestling. He puts his fighters on steroids. He trains for wrestling. And also, Yan Janan, she's just bigger. She's a lot bigger than Tabitha Ritchie. Tabitha Ritchie is a small wrestler, which I can be like, okay, she's small, but she can wrestle good technically. She can't really do that either. She's just a small wrestler. She's kind of small for like strawweight in general. Actually, she's kind of small for strawweight. It's kind of crazy actually. Or Yan Janan's just big, but I think Tabitha Ritchie's still just small. And I trust the experience of Yan Jinan. You know, she's been there. She's taken rounds off Wei Li. I say rounds, but she took one round off Wei Li, arguably. She beat Andrade pretty dominantly. Andrade, while she's not good, right? While Andrade isn't good, she's hard because she's also built like a man and she has a lot of power. I just think it's a very clear Yan Jinan decision. Tab while she does throw a lot, she doesn't have any power. I think Yan Jinan will get like 2 knockdowns. While she might get outstruck, right? While she might not land as much as Tab because Tab just spazzes out sometimes. Those 2 knockdowns will play a big part. I think Yan Jinan has the power to knock Tabitha down. And if the fight does go to the ground, I think Yan Jinan's just... I hate saying her fucking name. I'm not going to lie to you. I think she's just stronger in general. And she'll be able to get up pretty easily or just stay defensively sound against her. Defensively responsible. I'm going to go decision. Because like I said, she might get outstruck. However, I think that she'll knock Tafarichi down once or twice and they'll just steal the rounds for her. And she just carries more power in her punches, in my opinion. Moving on to the main event, Peter Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. I just realized this is a 30-minute video for 7 fights. I'm just yapping at this point, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. Peter Yan coming off a good win versus Song Yadong. Some people thought Song Yadong won. He didn't. He just didn't, right? I would have preferred Peter Yan come back a little earlier because that fight was, I believe, UFC 299. That fight was in March, and he's just now coming back in November. Deiveson Figueiredo's last fight was UFC Saudi Arabia against Marlon Vera. I was big on Figueiredo, right? I was big on Figueiredo when he came up. Even at flyweight, I was like, okay, this guy's going to be a champion. And I supported his move to bantamweight because I'm like, this guy he's already too big for flyweight. He's a good striker. He has a lot of power. He has a lot of power to keep up with these bantamweights. And he's very skilled. He has a lot of skills. I don't see him beating Yan. And for the main reason, he just doesn't do enough. A majority of the fights with Brandon Moreno, I know this was a long time ago, he got outworked by Moreno. He got outworked by him. He's a very good shot selector. But Peter Yan's very defensively sound. I don't remember the last time I've seen Peter Yan get knocked down. Or the last time I've seen him almost get KO'd. It's like he's a very defensively sound fighter. And I think his striking, he'll have a lot more output than Figueiredo. His boxing's amazing. Probably, I wish Yan was a little bigger. Because he would definitely be the best striker in really bantamweight. He'd be the best boxer in bantamweight in my opinion. If he was just a little bigger. But it's like he does a lot more output. His wrestling's better. His clinch game is better. While he might not carry the power, which is kind of scary, right? Giving a striker a power advantage. I think he's one of the most defensively sound strikers. So I don't think Figueiredo, while Figueiredo's trying to look for an opening, he's probably going to lose 2 to 3 rounds just looking for that opening. Okay, one red flag. He was close on strikes with Cheeto. That's fucking insane. Cheeto doesn't throw. Cheeto is the definition of he has skill, but he doesn't do anything. That's Cheeto as a fighter. Oh, he's so tough. Oh, he has skill. And the third thing that brings it all together, he doesn't do anything and he loses the fight. He doesn't do shit. For all due respect, I love Cheeto. It's just Figueiredo, while he is undersized for bantamweight, he has the power that carries him. What happens when he can't find that shot? You know what I'm saying? Like, congratulations, you beat Rob Font. Rob Font's a notorious gatekeeper. But that's all he is. He's just a gatekeeper. He doesn't have those high-level wins that prove that he's really belongs to, like, fight for a title or something, right? Which a gatekeeper is good in general. Don't get me wrong. A gatekeeper is a great career to have. Especially if you do it consistently. But, you know, he's gatekeeper for a reason. He doesn't beat the top guys. He doesn't beat Yan. He doesn't beat a Figueiredo. He doesn't beat a Merab. It's like he doesn't beat a top guy. I know Merab's champion. I needed another name to say. I mean, congratulations, you beat Cody Garbrandt, right? Like, first round, Cody Garbrandt, that was a close round. Cody Garbrandt was landing a lot on Davison Figueiredo. He looked so much faster than Figueiredo. And I don't rate Cody Garbrandt that high anymore, at least. Even before, I didn't rate Cody Garbrandt that high. That's not a good... I mean, it's a good performance, right? He choked him out. He showed his ground game. He showed that he still had it in the ground. It's just a huge step up. From going from Marlon Vera, who got brutally touched by Sean O'Malley, to stepping up to Peter Yan. I will say, though, Peter Yan hasn't been the most active, but he's coming off horrible injuries, so it's understandable, but it's like, you're coming off horrible injuries, man. He came off like 3 severe injuries against Song Yadong, so it's like, I'm not very confident in that. However, his skill is better. In my opinion, his skill is better. I love Figueiredo, but he doesn't do anything. Like, granted, okay, he'll get that one shot, he'll knock someone down, it'll win him the fight. He'll win based off damage. He'll do enough to match his opponent, but when his opponent can easily pull away. We saw that with Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, good boxing, was able to strike with him very clearly, but he'd just get knocked down sometimes, and that's what would win, like, Figueiredo the fight. The one thing we've seen about Brandon Moreno, he's a natural, like, flyweight, right? Figueiredo was huge. Figueiredo was fucking huge for flyweight. Like, at least weight-wise. Height-wise, no. He was fucking huge for flyweight. Had a lot more power than these guys. And it's like, he just couldn't match Moreno. He couldn't match Moreno. He'd get the random knockdowns. I don't think Figueiredo will be as successful getting knockdowns as he was in flyweight. I don't think he's that huge powerhouse anymore because he was fighting people who were smaller than him. It's like, while power does transfer, it transfers, right? Power does get transferred. However, it's a little different. It's a little weaker. Like, especially when Figueiredo, while he was big for flyweight, and while his power was amazing for flyweight, we haven't really seen that power come into play besides knocking down Cheeto for a little bit. Besides beating up Rob Font, but I don't think he knocked him down. Besides, he didn't do anything against Cody Garbrandt. It's like, your best win's Cheeto Vera, who just got abused by Sean O'Malley. And you kind of matched him when Cheeto really just didn't throw anything. It's like, I don't trust his activity. I think Peter Yan's too defensively sound for Figueiredo to find his shot, and Figueiredo hasn't been as consistent as finding his shot at bantamweight. Or when he has found a shot, it wouldn't have the same effect it did against flyweights. So his power didn't carry over insanely. He struggles against people who are defensively sound. Peter Yan, okay, and there's one more aspect of the fight. Figueiredo is a good wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He's good on the ground. He's dangerous on the ground. Peter Yan has good takedown defense. He does. He really has good takedown defense. You can look at the Merab fight and be like, oh, Merab got him down 11 times. Yeah, but then Peter Yan just got back up immediately. Also, Merab shot 49 takedowns in a 5-round fight. He's on steroids. I love Merab. Just as a guy, he's on steroids, 100%. And at this point in UFC, just take steroids. Who cares? Song Yadong, good wrestler. I just want to see the stats so I'm actually correct on this. Song Yadong got 1 takedown. Peter Yan had better wrestling than Song Yadong. Song Yadong is a very good powerhouse in terms of boxing and wrestling. And even how much he throws. I think Song Yadong, in my opinion, is just a more athletic, more physical version of Davison Figueiredo, who just has a better cardio, who has better gas tank. Let's see. Oh my. Yeah, Merab held Peter Yan against defense and shot 49 takedowns against him. Even Even in the Aljamain fights, Aljamain shot 22 takedowns. Peter Yan defended 2 of them. Aljamain's wrestling is very good. It's very fucking good. He wouldn't be champion without it. It's like, he's fought these wrestlers. So if Figueiredo does want to eventually turn to wrestling, Yan has the skills to defend it, and Yan could probably out wrestle Davis and Figueiredo, as long as outbox him. It's like, I'm going decision here. Figueiredo does have a good chin. Peter Yan won't like TKO him or something. But I can't say Figueiredo's gonna TKO Yan, and I can't say Figueiredo's gonna decision Yan, because he just doesn't throw enough in the later rounds. He just doesn't throw enough in general. So he doesn't stay busy. He's inconsistent. I like Jan's chances here. Decision. That's really it. That's all the predictions I'm going to do. I'm going to have a full list of predictions, by the way. Tomorrow, I'm going to start my stream at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. I'll let y'all know on Twitter. And we're just going to watch the fights for about 9 hours at this point, right? So I hope to see y'all there. And, yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I've been yapping too much, bro. It's been a 41-minute video for 7 fight predictions. That's fucking... I need to get a fucking life. Anyway, like I said, like, subscribe if you enjoyed. I hope to see you in the stream tomorrow. It'd be my first ever stream, but, you know, all the support is what brought me to start streaming, so I guess. I don't know where to end this, so I'm just gonna end it, I guess. Appreciate it all, really.